Hey everybody, welcome to another Rainmaker podcast, and we got a dandy for you today, the ultimate Rainmaker, Anika Daniels, and she's going to be talking to you about how you can bounce back from adversity, have your own system, and scale your life insurance business. Miss Anika Daniels, welcome to the show. Thank you for hopping on the Rainmaker podcast this fine Monday morning. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Just a great pleasure to have you on, and just hearing about your story and the short time that Ramel and Jack told me about you from being in our programs, being one of the longest tenured members in our program, and then finally catching up. I think you popped on one of the calls, and Ramel was like, "I think somebody should reach out to her," and I was like, "That's gonna be me." Because I wanted to be able to highlight your story. I told you that I was proud of you and excited.
Thank
So
you.
today we're gonna be giving you your flowers. And so
Thank you.
let's just kind of start from the beginning. How did you even get into the insurance business in the first place?
I was a school teacher, a total of about 25 years, and I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and then I moved to Atlanta, which is where I got my first bout with an inquiry of doing life insurance. So once I decided that I wanted to work for myself and I wanted to bet on me and become an entrepreneur, all of a sudden I just started getting all these calls. I don't know about life insurance. I went to a sister of mine's grand opening, and I met the first person that approached me from New York Life. And I just, from then on, I was just getting constant requests. So one day I just took up the offer and went in and met with them. Once I got started, I got licensed and I transitioned into becoming a broker. And this was about 6 months before I lost my mother. I told her how I was feeling and what I wanted to do. She encouraged me and she said, and her name is Alina Barnett, and she said, I said, Ma, I don't want to work for anybody anymore.
Mm,
And I've been teaching for 25 years at this point, and that's all I knew, and I was really, really good at it. And she said, "Well, you can teach. I think that's a good idea. You can teach in another way. You can still teach life insurance. You just have a different audience, and you'll be teaching a different subject, but you can always teach in another way. And worst case scenario, just go back to teaching. If all fails or it doesn't work out, the worst case is to go back to doing what you really love, which is teaching."
mm.
So I said, well, if that's the worst that can happen, I'll bet on myself. And that's what I did. I never went back. I started and I began 6 months later after she coached me into doing this and it gave me the solid encouragement that I needed. She passed away.
Mm.
She put this
Wow.
in my lap and then she left.
Wow. So you got the blessing, and then she transitioned. Wow, that's a
Yeah,
really
six-
really amazing story. And so one of the things that I heard you say, which was very encouraging, I think that other people should hear, like your thought process. It's like they're always worried about what if it doesn't work, or what if I look silly, or this or that. And the thing that I always tell people is like, if you're where you are and you've done that, but you still have this pull towards doing something else, that's called fulfillment and walking in your purpose. And sometimes, right, like you have to listen to that. The other thing is worst case scenario. If it doesn't work, the thing that you are really good at that doesn't really give you the fulfillment, it's still going to be there. You can always come back and pick that up, right? But
True.
if you spend all your time in this place where you're just like, oh, I feel like I could be doing so much more and not betting on yourself, you're always going to be wondering what if, right?
Yep. Yep.
And they say that there's cemeteries for people to go to, but there's also this other cemetery, and it's called regrets and what ifs. And there's just millions and millions of what ifs and regrets people have that are
Mhm.
there where they're just like, man, I wish I would have tried. I wish I would have taken that
Yeah,
leap. I wish I would have betted myself. So that's a kind of scary spot to be in to kind of start.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
yes,
So
mhm.
what drives you to keep going, or what inspires you, to do that? And how did you ultimately decide? Because that's a big leap that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bet on myself
Right.
and try to do this because you could fail.
That's true, and it is a big leap. I think for me, what sold the deal for me to even try was just the fact that if it didn't work out, I had a different set of skills. I have degrees, I have experience, I have education. So I know I can find another job. But for me, it was more of what you were saying. I just wanted more fulfillment. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to spend time with more time with my family. And ironically, like I said, I didn't get that time with my mom. So that really drove me to try to make this thing work and be great because I operated for many, many years, even though I've had a lot of wins and I've had a lot of fails and I've got back up and I've tried it again. But through my career as a teacher, I've been very blessed to do something that I love and that's near and dear to my heart and that I'm really, really good at. But I just wanted to maximize my worth, my time, my value. And I just thought betting on me was the answer. And so I had to stop operating out of fear.
Mm.
And once I broke it down, that that's what it all boiled down to, that a lot of the things that I probably would have done, I didn't do, which was out of fear. And so once I understood that what the acronym is, and I actually first came up with this acronym way back in the day when I heard one of Nas's songs, and he was talking about fear is false expectations appearing real. And when I broke that down, I'm like, dang, we do operate out of fear. Like, first of all, it's fake. Secondly, it hasn't happened. Third, we're expecting something not to happen that hasn't happened. And so that's like craziness to me. So
Yes.
as soon as I figured out that, okay, I don't want to do, I'm scared to take this leap because of something that I don't know, something that I didn't do, something I don't even know how it's going to work out, but I'm scared of it. Like
Mm.
I can't live like that.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yeah,
you
that
know,
makes sense, man. You're dropping so many eye-opening things that I align with. So I'm trying to unpack some of this because it's just getting me excited. So the first thing is the fear, right? So our brain is a protection mechanism, and it's one of the most powerful things. But it's lazy sometimes, and it uses shortcuts, right?
yeah.
So
Mhm.
the first thing your brain does is go right to the extreme, right? You got a pimple on your neck, or you got a little bit of a headache, and you go and Google
Right.
something online, your eyes go right to the most extreme thing, or you think it's the worst case scenario. And a lot
Exactly.
of times when you go to do something, the first thing that we think of is what's going to go wrong, and we think of the worst case scenario. And we spend all our time thinking about the worst case scenario. And the crazy thing about that is if when you really break it down, it's like, okay, well, if the worst case scenario didn't happen, then what would it look like? And you can really kind of back your way into, okay, probably not going to be the best scenario, and it's probably not going to be the worst. It's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. So if I
Mhm.
fall somewhere in the middle, right, like, do I have control of getting better over time? If I stick
Right.
with it, right, because you're a human being, right, so you
Mhm.
have the ability to figure it out, then what could happen, right? And so that's the first thing is we always build this thing up to be way bigger or be way worse than it normally is.
That's true.
But the other piece to that is we have to really tap back into that childlike curiosity of like, but what if it doesn't go that way, right?
Hmm.
Because we can come up with all the reasons, right, why it wouldn't work,
Hmm.
instead of thinking about the one reason, like, but if this did work, what would
Exactly.
change? And if we shift it and start focusing on the positive side than the negative side, because a lot of times life is all about perception, right? You could
Yeah.
look at the tragedy of a thing and it could take you down or it could bring you up. Where you see some people and you're like, man, that person's just so strong. It's just in the perception of what they use the situation, and they tell themselves that they can use that to be better. And what I'm going by that is if you think you can or not, you're right. Right. So
Absolutely.
So the first thing you got to do is you got to believe in yourself. The second thing you have to do is believe in your ability to figure it out. If somebody else can do it, it can be done. And if they can
Mhm.
do it, you can do it, right?
Right.
Because then the next question is okay, this seems impossible, but who
Hmm.
else has done this? How many
Right.
other people have had
Hmm.
success that are like this? And it's like, okay, do they have the same amount of time in a day, right? Do they have the same resources, right?
Right.
Right. And so, okay, so if that person can do it, then I can do it. And so now it's like, okay, what do I need to do? Right. I need to learn some skills so I can apply myself. Right. And then I need to grow a little bit. And anything's possible. So let's
Hmm.
transition into your situation because you had already done some advertising on Facebook already and had some stuff set up. So you're kind of advanced, which I'm understanding that you're a really, really smart person. But let's talk about how you even came across myself in the first place. How did that even happen?
So I had already been kind of manifesting another way to generate leads because when I came in insurance, of course, we were doing things a lot more. Um, I guess I don't know if the right word would be primitive because it wasn't like just beginning, but we were doing like a lot of, ground level work. So a lot of these amenities out here, like lead campaigns and things like that, they weren't even talked about or spoken of. I mean, we purchased leads from lead vendors, and we purchased, internet leads, and we purchased telemarketing leads. All of these phases you go through when you're trying to figure out the lead and how the lead game works. So I'd come across your ad several times just through Facebook. I watched it. I followed, watched you, and I watched a lot of your advertisements. And you have, I don't know the guy's name,
Earl Hall, yes.
girl. He's the face of your brand because he's the one that shows up on most, the videos outside of yourself. But I just looked at your pictures and everything, and I read, different posts and things like that. So I'd been watching you for a while, and I was already trying to figure out, okay, how can I how can I cut out the middleman and generate my own leads? And I started thinking that way when COVID hit and the governor shut the city down. And then I knew for myself, running in the field was going to be temporary for me. I wanted to transition anyway into telesales. I'm always looking for the next, way that things might go in the event I need to pivot. Part of that might be the teacher in me, just staying abreast with all the things that are most helpful for me and how can I move forward? How can I pivot? We ran into a pandemic. We could not leave our houses. We were mandated to stay in the house a whole month. So people that ran life insurance appointments and that's the only way they knew and that's all they did, yeah, it was kind of upsetting for a lot of people to figure out, well, telesales, like, how does that work? Or, you know, how do we do this? Because I like going. A lot of people like going in the field, and they love that face to face interaction, in person. But the reality is, we were essential workers. Technically, we were on a list saying that we were essential, but that was a dangerous time for everybody. I knew that I needed to be here. I have a father that's older, and I knew that I didn't want to take too many risks with this pandemic, not really knowing how far, deep into it we were going to get and the cures and all of that. So I just followed the rules. But during that time, I knew I needed to transition. So I was just looking online and I was trying to find other ways to generate my own leads. And I did. I found that way. And then I found you. And that was a whole nother game changer. And the reason why I found you is because I'd already been through another situation.
Mm,
And and then I said, okay, I'm throwing my all my cards in at this
yeah.
point. I
So let's
I
talk about that because
yeah,
other people have tried a lot of things, and when people come to me, like my services aren't cheap, right? And I
right,
know that it's just priced at a certain level, but there's a saying that if you're the cheapest, nobody expects you to be the best, and if you're the
right,
best, nobody expects you to be the cheapest. And I have it positioned that way for a reason. But I want to talk about people who have tried stuff and think that the Facebook ads doesn't work because you were in that similar situation. So let's talk about like what you had tried before you actually joined our program.
Well, for beginners, when I first came into the organization I'm with now, I was doing $3 age leads for the first 3 weeks or so. Before you, I was doing all types of leads. I mean, you name them, I did age leads. And they go back as 2 to 3 to 4 years old. You know, that taught me how to dial. Let's say that.
Yes.
That's and I won't even dog that out because I have to accredit that to my foundation, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to dial those old leads because that taught me how to dial. It toughened me up. It allowed me to understand that we can't be in our emotions and stuff like that when we're dialing. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates. You call and it is what it is, and you go from there. But those leads were very challenging. And then I moved on to vendors. And of course, you know what they charge. I mean, you've been in this game per lead, you know what that looks like in comparison to us generating our own leads.
Yes.
It's we're paying a third of what we were paying vendors. That was the other thing. And to be honest, like I told you, Nas with the fear thing, so this is what I was thinking, and please don't. I hope whoever's watching this don't get confused. But anyways, you know, the movie with Denzel Washington, and he played Frank Lucas,
Yes.
and he went to Vietnam, and he cut the
Yes.
middleman out.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking about. I
Yes.
was well, Frank Lucas went to Vietnam. You know, he cut the middleman out. Of course, that was a whole different thing, but
Yes. A different
that's
field.
what
Yes. But yeah, you want to get to the source, right?
yeah,
So you
I
can
thought
get
about
it at
that.
a
So I said,
wholesale
well, you know,
price.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna cut the middle. I'm going to cut the middleman out. And I said,
Yes.
because my mind said, okay, I spend this much per lead, but where do they get their leads from? Like
Hmm.
that was always on my mind, and I just kept looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, and I found it. I think because I kept trying to look for the solution finally came to me.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I
So
do understand what you're
it
saying.
goes back to what you were saying about it's like planting a harvest. So let's say you got a harvest seeds that's called failure. You have a harvest of seeds called success. And you plant both of them at the same time and you do the exact same thing to both of those. It's going to produce what you put in. And so that's all I wanted to do was change the game for me and make
Yes.
make it better where I don't have to ride around in my car get no showed. I mean, I've the longest no show I've driven is 2 hours. Okay, so I mean, but that's part of the game. If you in the field, you do run into that. It's not cool and it's not fun, but that's one of the not so great things that can happen when you're an agent. And then I just transitioned myself by following some steps. And when I found you, I had put all my eggs in one basket at this point. And I was like, okay, I know how much he costs. I don't want to quote it. I can't remember what I paid, but I don't know if your prices have changed.
5,800.
Okay. So I know what I paid. And I said, you know what? I've been watching this dude for a long time. I trust him. I know what you're doing works because I did it on a smaller capacity. So I knew what you were doing work. But the difference was to me, I think your course is worth every penny of 5,800. And I'm gonna tell you why. And I don't care if you don't have it. This is a goal to aspire. Or you have to learn strategies and come up with a plan to pay for your professional development. But
Mm.
more but moreover, it's got to be you that want to do that, and you have to make sure that you're conducting yourself like if you're doing this as a business. And as a business, you know that there are whether you are in whatever field you in, you have to have some type of professional development. And because this is a field that many of us are coming to out of the blue from different walks of life and different opportunities, different careers and stuff like that, we're new to this. So why not invest in yourself and put it into a company that's going to provide a total package. You're not just getting someone that says, okay, ABC, set the leads up. There you go. Good luck. It's not like that. With your team, which is why I joined, you have a whole technical department. And in that technical department will respond and meet with you and help you and take over your whole screen and show you and help you to what you need with what you need to do. You also have Zoom calls, and you also have a Facebook group. I mean, you have like, and you have the courses, and within the courses, I haven't looked at all of the ones, but I see them set up, and you go in and you interchange them, and you put out old data and put in new data, and you're not getting all of that for $200, $300. You just not. So I say it's worth every penny. I am so grateful that I decided to professionally develop myself using your course. I paid the 5,800. Once my ads were up and running, which they are quick, the process starts really quickly from where I started. My stuff was ready to go. Once my ads started running and my leads started coming in again, I was talking to an agent of mine, and she had just called me, and she was celebrating some success of, she closed a deal, and I believe hers was like 5,500 or something. We were right, making the same amount. She wasn't in the program, but it was like I was celebrating the same thing. That 5,800 that I was not scared to invest because I don't operate out of fear no more, because it's fake and it's not real unless I make it real. I just threw the money in and I said, okay. And within a few days, I made my money back
Mm.
and I wrote it off on my taxes. So I'm good. I'm grateful for the whole experience, but
Yes.
I do think it's
Yes.
worth every penny. I do.
And I appreciate you saying that because, it's one of those things where people see things and, let's be honest. In the insurance business, a lot of people are over promising a lot of things and under delivering. There's so many empty promises. And
It
when I set out to do this, I was on that end and I wanted to fix that. So my whole purpose was trying to make some change. And I'm only one man. But if I could impact someone in a special way like this with your business, where you were just looking, it's like, man, I needed a break. I wasn't lazy. I was intelligent. I was ready to work every single day. I just
is.
needed something that was efficient. I needed my own system and it was predictable so that I could run my business like a business owner and not be out there chasing clients. I can work from the privacy of my own home, take care of the things that I needed to so that I could run my business. And that's the same thing I want. I'm here in my own home as well. And so those
Mhm.
were some of the same things that I wanted. But more importantly, it comes down to economics, right? Even if you're making 5,500 off of something, but you had to spend 5,000 or 4,000 because you're buying leads from lead vendors, right? That are 2-3 times what you could actually generate yourself. And once you write a policy and you look at your ad account and you got those leads for 2, 3, $5, and you know how much when you went into that website and you press that button to get 40 leads for, you're like, oh, this is a
Yeah.
game changer. So there's two things in there though, right? The only way for you to grow the profitability and the cash flow in your business, right, is three ways. One is you can raise your prices. Well, you can't because you're not the carriers. You can't control that. The other thing is you have to reduce your expenses, right? When you invest in yourself in this program, yes, up front it's a little bit more expensive, but it's just like renting or buying a house, right? Put down a little bit more, but over the long term of you having your business, right, is going to be more cost effective because now you own your system. So now you have increased your profit, right, over year, and it's tax deductible. And then the third thing is now you know what your expenses are going to be every single month. It's a fixed expense. I'm going to spend 15 to 3,000 bucks every single month on leads to grow my business. And now you can project what
Yeah.
your profit is going to be at the end of the month, and now you're operating your insurance agency like a real business.
Yeah. That's true. It
Yeah.
makes sense. And, mindset is key. And so that's what I learned in this business early on. So not only do I, have courses like this, but, I read books, I mean, this is by other entrepreneurs, business owners, millionaires. Like I'm totally 100% just trying to immerse myself into the knowledge and the literature so that I can pass it on to the team that I have and help them. And I have a few new agents coming on board, and
Mm.
they struggle, and a lot of times they don't have the security, or they don't have the belief in themselves, and sometimes they're in really bad financial situations. But what I say is, once you're in a position, you should position yourself in a way that's only going to scale and grow your business. Otherwise, we kind of working backwards,
Yeah.
and we're not keeping up with what's going on. And I'm not a keep up with the Joneses type person, but I am logical, and I do like to make things a lot smoother. And I really like to work smarter, to be honest.
Yeah. Tell
I
me
mean,
about it.
I'm telling you, and I'm not young, so I've been working hard like all my life, like
Mm.
really hard. So no, I'm not really shooting for that part. I really want to be strategic and smart, and I know that because I've put in the work, even in my previous career, so I know how to make things happen, and I know how to work. This is not new. Working is not new to me. I
Hmm.
just want to streamline it and just
Yes.
make it better and make it more simple, and just
Yes.
make it so that now during this phase of my life, I'm not running, 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 but I'm able to do the things, the quality things, as well as so I have work life balance.
Yes. So instead of surviving, you're thriving. I love it. And you joined our program when it was 5,800. So when was that? Because when did you join our program? How long ago has
You
that been?
um, I don't know the exact date.
I mean, but
I
like if you had to guess, was it this year? Was it last year?
no, it was. It's been over a year now.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because people be watching this as well, and so I want to transition because it isn't 5,800 anymore. We updated
Oh,
some stuff and got some excellence in there, so it's a little bit
oh,
more. But what I
okay.
what I do want to transition into is people betting on themselves and having that business owner mindset as opposed to a scarce 9 to 5 mindset. People
Hmm.
may watch this and see some of my stuff online and do some research, but it just may seem like it's too good to be true, right? And you watch some of the testimonials, so you were on the other side before. What
Yeah.
would you say to people that are kind of skeptical and on the fence, but they may be considering, hopping on a call or joining up and partnering with us to help them systemize their business? What would you say to somebody now that you have the system in place because you had tried some stuff before, and so you were close, but just that one little 5-10% that got you over the hump to get things to work for you to now
Yeah.
be able to streamline your business? What would you say to those people that are kind of on the fence?
I say that you know you can do anything that, and I know we've heard this since children, but it's real. It sounds cliche, but it's not. You can do anything that you put your mind to. Now, if you're not going to put your mind to it, then don't expect the results. But if you're going to put your mind to it, it's doable. And I would tell people about this business. I'm telling you, you probably won't be able to find another business that you can potentially start up with this amount. And, anyways, I'd say most new businesses, depending on what you're doing, probably would take this type of capital to get started. So just understand that you're not wasting your time. The process, once it's set and once everything is in place, it's like set it and forget it. And then the rewards begin to come because the leads begin to trickle in. And then your profit begin. You can start right there. And I would say, don't listen to a lot of people that are negative or who have had bad experiences, because they will come in your ear. People have said to me, I don't buy leads, and it's a waste of money, or these people just trying to get over. But if you do your due diligence and you schedule a call, um, these are real people. It's not a scam, because that's what most people are out here thinking when you come into these online things. But see, as you can see, I'm literally on the other side now. I mean, I never met Arturo until now, so it's definitely 100% real. And then outside of believing in yourself, putting all the things that you learn into action, you have to be action oriented. Again, you can't sit around and expect miracles, because this is one of those things is What we do is what we get out of it. What you put into it is what you get out of it. It's not Arturo's fault. It's not your fault. It's not anybody else's fault that trained you, your trainer's fault. It will fall all on us because the resources are here, the materials are legit, the campaign is fire. And, bottom line, if you really want to do this, you can do it. It just takes you a little bit of commitment on your side, too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for popping on this fine Monday to get the day started. I'm definitely excited to celebrate you. I'm excited for the
Thank you.
future for you that looks absolutely amazing and bright, and definitely grateful to be connected with you. Thank you so much for hopping on the Rainmaker podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. So if you are looking to have consistency and predictability in your business, you want to take your profits to another level, and you just ultimately want to systematize your business. And if you try some online programs before, or you tried to do it on your own, and you have some things set up, the good news is that you're so close. You just need one or two things that maybe Arturo Johnson Consulting can help you with. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next Rainmaker podcast.